This morning, we are catching up with licensed counselor Shantala Boss, and we're talking about a different topic this morning when it comes to love, dating, marriage, and sort of a decline in marriages statistically. So, good morning. Good to see you again, Shantala.
You too, Bridget.
So, there have been lots of articles about this lately, and so I'm from what I'm seeing, it seems like it's a global trend that sort of like marriages statistically are down and birth rates are down in some places. And why is that?
Well, I believe it's because there's more social isolation than ever before. People aren't going out and meeting people like they once did. Unfortunately, I think especially when COVID started, it's good and bad because we got online, we did a lot more Zoom, we did a lot more FaceTime, and we learned a lot more how to connect with other people without seeing them in person. But that's continued. And now it's so easy to stay home and not go out and not meet people. And especially with our young people, that's almost foreign to them. They're more isolated than ever before. They don't want to go out and drive. They're not really motivated. They have all their friends online. And that can become a problem when it comes to meeting other people and really having that social connection because we do need that as humans.
And so people are starting to venture out more, but like you said, it's still sort of a resurgence of that. But we've also seen people sort of shying away more and more from some of the traditional like dating apps that have been really popular like the last 15, 20 years. So it's like people aren't really loving those as much as they did at first.
I'm noticing that I am. I'm talking to people who are on them, and unfortunately, it's difficult to get to know someone online, and then they meet up and they're disappointed, or they go out a few times and they're really excited about it, but that person is talking to someone else or several other people, and may just ghost them one day after a month, 2 months, 3 months. So there's so many more options, but there's so less options, if that makes sense. It seems like the pool is bigger than ever before, but really the connection and the quality of the relationship is definitely watered down. So I tell my clients, if you're going to go that route and go online, there's possible you could meet someone and be their partner forever, but it's also possible that these things could happen. So be prepared for that. What kind of warning signs do you need to look for if it's not a relationship that you really want, and really making a list of what you're looking for and deciding that before you go out there on those dating apps, I think is really important. And dating in general, to have that expectation list and make sure you know what you're looking for.
Now, what about the different age groups? Because it you counsel a wide range of ages. So, are younger people sort of holding off on starting dating? Are you seeing sort of like that, that teenage age range sort of being late bloomers more so too? Or what would you say for that age group?
I would say teenagers are still in person, seeing each other, dating. I think it really happens more when the young adults get into the workforce after college, and they have their career, they're starting their career, they're getting busy, and they feel like everyone else is living their life. They feel like they've lost connection, and it's easy for that to happen. So it's really important that they get into things that they enjoy, maybe get involved in their community, volunteering or hobbies. It doesn't have to be sports. It could be something like art class, pottery class, learning new things, things they're interested in, so they can meet someone and have that common bond and connection, and make a friend first instead
Mm-hmm.
of having that pressure of having to go on a date right away.
Mm-hmm. And what would you say, generationally? Because it seems like we've seen stories about women who maybe have waited to get married and then like they're getting into like those later years for childbearing. So now people are like waiting and, if they can afford to, they try to like freeze eggs and things like that. So people are putting off marriage sort of as long as possible. Do you think it's a more of a hesitation now, or just people are, willing to take the chance that it might not happen?
I think maybe it's more of a freedom thing for women. I think within the last 30 years or so, women have become much more liberated in how their jobs and their careers, and what direction they want to go. And also with fertility treatments, they don't necessarily have to stay or be with a man. So I think there's a lot of other options for women, and so that's part of it, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. But I do believe that women are more empowered than they have been in the past, and they may not want to be in a long term relationship, but still have the perks of having a family.
And then I would imagine that when you're talking to people who are having counseling and things like that, they may have had experienced trauma and things like that, either in their family down the line and things like that, that might make them feel shying away from dating or marriages. So it can sort of be hard to overcome that if it's been a generational thing where there maybe been a big history of either divorces or maybe abusive relationships that can make people sort of shy away.
That's true. And that's been around for as long as marriages have been around, but people are talking about it more. Mental health is a big topic. So people are more aware now of what they want, what they need, what they're looking for, because they want that quality relationship. Where I feel like in the past it was part of the life cycle and you just have the relationship and you stay with that person. Now it's like, what do I want out of this? How is this meeting my emotional needs to be the best version of myself, which is different than it used to be, which is a positive thing for both, for men, women, for everyone. And I think as a result, marriages will last longer should a person get to know themselves and know what they need and want and how they want to grow together. So I think it can be a real positive thing as well.
And so it seems more so as it's become more emotionally intimate and more about those true feelings of connection. People really want that, not just like this family wants this family to have these two kids get together or what have you. It's more of a personal choice for sure. So how can you encourage people just to not give up on finding the right connection, because I think it can be discouraging at times.
You're so right. It really can be. I think it's just, not giving up and really starting with friendship. I mean, I think what happens with these apps and some of these dating platforms, the pressure is on right away to go on a date, have that type of a romantic connection. And I think just having friends, meeting
Mm-hmm.
people through other people, through activities, having less pressure on, it's almost like sitting and having an interview with several different people and having to make a decision for the rest of your life. I think that pressure is too intense. So I really encourage people, make friends, get to know people, figure out what you want. And the rush isn't the same for women than it used to be, because there are other ways of fertility treatments. So I know sometimes women feel like their clock is ticking and they have to hurry it up. So that hopefully encourages people as well, that there are things that can help with that, so that we don't feel rushed into it to have kids, or whatever it is with a family.
I know I talked to someone who runs a dating service where they actually, vet people and then sort of kind of help match you up with people for dates and things like that. But of course, that might not be in everybody's budget to sign up for something like that. But what would be, probably the best way to meet people without, say, like just going out to a bar? What are some of the good suggestions for that these days?
I think it's shared activities. If that's, whatever kind of activity it doesn't have to be physical. I think it's finding someone that you can start the connection on something you enjoy doing. And then you can build on that and meet up regularly doing that activity. Not that you have to go on a date, or that you have to wait for them to call, or they have to wait for you to call them, or there's all this pressure. So finding mutual interest, even if it is virtual online gaming, a lot of people meet partners that way, gaming, having fun, getting to know each other, and then meeting up. I think group activities, things like that, really take the pressure off and develop those friendships.
Yeah. And so, whether or not that ends in marriage or not, everybody needs connection and companionship, whether it is relationships, friendships. That is something that you have to kind of encourage people not to shut down. I would imagine that happens sometimes for people.
I think it does. And when we're not connecting socially and emotionally, there is depression and anxiety, because we are social creatures. So it's easy to feel sometimes like we have a ton of friends because we look on Instagram, we look on Facebook, and all these people are commenting. But that's kind of a false reality. And I
Mm-hmm.
think people get caught up in that and wonder, why am I so lonely? I'm always talking to people. But having those in person, intimate connections, friendship, dating, whatever it might be, is so important for mental health. And it's easy to forget and easy to feel like we have it when we don't. So keeping that at the forefront of our brains, and when we wonder why we're feeling low or feeling a little down, remembering we do need that, even if it's,
Mm-hmm.
every other week, going out with a friend for dinner, things that get us out of the house, get us meeting people, get us talking to people. I was at Quest Diagnostics the other day, and everyone was sitting on their phone, and one woman was talking to someone across from me, and then she said, "Oh, I don't think we're allowed to talk. Everyone's on their phone." So I piped up and I said, "No, let's have a conversation."
That's
And we
refreshing. Yeah.
started laughing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
And so definitely something we do have to be more intentional about, though, these days.
It definitely is. We have to remember to do that, not always be looking at our phones because it's a default, and then it's easy to not talk to people.
Yeah. Well, Chantal, it's always good to talk about this. We could go on, but where can people go for more information and, reach out for, assistance if they need help sort of breaking out of that shell?
Well, if they're looking for support, see a therapist. Psychology Today is a great resource. You can put in what insurance you have, what type of therapist you're looking for, and it can kind of match you with people within the area. So that's a really good resource to look at.
All right. Wonderful. Always good to see you. Thanks.
You too. Bye, Bridget.
Bye.